Hi, my name is Meg Pinsonneault from Thirsty Girl Films, and I'm on From Page to Screen podcast. And I have a project called Guapa Beautiful. It's a documentary about Filipino kids who...
Hello, it's nice to have you come on. I'm Harold, and the other voice you heard was
Hey,
Stuart.
Harold, how's it going?
It's great. It's nice to finally meet you, Meg.
I know, yeah. I'm glad we finally got to hook up. Thanks for bearing with me. I wanted to do this a long time ago.
You're busy lady.
Oh, God, yes. I wish I could have more sleep. That's the one thing I do wish.
Well, sleep doesn't come easy when you got lots of work to do, you know.
No, it doesn't, especially when that work can be taken with you anywhere, like your bed, and then you just end up staying up to like 3 o'clock in the morning tweeting. Crazy.
When are you scheduled to be able to get a really, really good night's sleep then, Meg? Sometime in February or something?
Probably. Well, our campaign ends on Friday at midnight, so that's pretty much when I know I can at least come up for air. But probably not until this weekend sometime. I'm looking forward to it. Maybe like Saturday night. Don't try to contact me Saturday night because I'm not going to talk to you.
Switch all your devices off, put them in a separate room,
exactly.
and sleep for 24 hours.
It works because I work at night and I'm on Eastern Standard Time. So when I start seeing you tweet, that's why I just keep retweeting, and it's like, well, let me help as much as I can.
Oh, well, thank you guys so much for what you've done. It's been awesome. We've seen so much support for this campaign. I'm actually pretty surprised as far as how much press we've gotten, how much just the buzz about the project, and I'm pretty sure that's because, like, specifically on Twitter, people are just talking about it.
I mean, I personally think it's a wonderful project. I mean, first off, I'm behind you because my girlfriend is actually Filipino.
Yeah, that's really, really great. Was she born in the Philippines?
She was born in the Philippines. Roly-poly!
Harold likes to put her on the microphone now and again.
Oh, that's funny.
Unbeknown to her.
Yeah.
It's a case of just speaking to this microphone, darling.
What was your island in the Philippines? Visayas, right?
Yeah, Visayas in Boracay Island.
Visayas in Boracay Island.
Okay.
That's where she's from.
So what we've got lined up tonight for you, Meg, is we do a regular media show where we chat about movies, and past couple of weeks has been Twilight, nothing but flipping Twilight and vampires. But now and again, Harold and I do shows that are coming under the Spotlight banner, which is exactly what this one is. So we'll fire a few questions at you. We'll open the floor up to you to talk about what you need to talk about. So there'll be not so much general movie chat tonight, but we're going to learn a bit about you, the projects you've worked on, and obviously the projects that you are working on.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. That's awesome. And I just want to say first, thanks for having me on the show, guys. This is really great.
No, thanks for coming on the show. And thank you for giving us the Feast of Foolish trailer to watch, because that was fantastic.
Well, your review of it was awesome. Like that, it was the first one. I think the first time anybody outside of my circle, had seen it, and it was just great to hear you guys talking, like people I've never met before talking about it. So that was really great. So thanks for all of the wonderful praise. And since then, we've had several reviews for it, all of them very positive. So I'm also looking forward to spending a little bit more time on promoting that project once this campaign is finished.
Wonderful. Well, keep us on the list for doing that. We're happy to help.
Of course. Thank you.
Awesome looking project. So how did you go? Which one did you start working on first, Guapa or Feast of the Foolish? Because they're very different projects, aren't they?
Oh, I lost you there for a second.
Which project did you start working on first? Because they're very, very different projects, Feast of the Foolish and the Guapa Beautiful Film Project.
Well, I kind of fell into documentary filmmaking. So I have my background with Faces of Tomorrow, which is the organization that we feature in Guapa that does the facial reconstructive surgeries, and they go on one mission a year. And back in 2009, they asked me to go on their very first mission to Ecuador as a nonprofit organization. And I created a short promotional video for them that they've since used a lot. And when I did it, I had just gone, it was crazy. I'd gone by myself. I had just bought an HVX 2 months before. And it was my first project really that I had done on my own. My background is in art direction. So I had been in art direction for a long time. And then I decided to get out of it and bought a camera, and this was my first project. So, of course, I was enamored with the subject. And when I got down there, it was really awesome to work with, 52 medical professionals, being the only, artsy fartsy person in the crowd. And it was really great, being able to go in surgery rooms and actually seeing up close and personal how they go about fixing these little tiny infant deformities is, amazing. But after doing that video for them, I sent it into a couple of film festivals, and we won a few awards, albeit very small. But I wanted, after going on the trip, I was just so, impassioned by this subject, and I was very personally affected by that experience. And I really wanted the video to just have more of an audience, and I wanted more people to see it and just get the awareness out there. And it didn't really do that. So a couple of years later, when they asked me to go on this last trip with them, I jumped on the opportunity because I really wanted a second chance at trying to get this, the awareness for this cause out there. And that was back, I think they asked me to go on the trip probably in the summer of, right in the middle of, right before we decided to do Feast the Foolish. So they happened at the exact same time. So when we were prepping for Feast, we were also, getting ready to go on this trip to the Philippines. And then I came back and we ran a crowdfunding campaign. And then we shot Feast the Foolish probably 3 months after we got back to the Philippines. So these projects have been going, it was almost like, head and head. And, but, I kind of like it that way, to be honest. It's really great to not have to be able to use both parts of your brain, I guess, if you were to divide it in documentaries and narratives. So it's been really great.
How do you cope with having to do that? With on one side of your brain you're doing the narrative storylines, on the other you're doing something real. How do you sort of separate that? That must be a bit of a nightmare.
I think because documentaries and narratives are just so different on their own. They're not even and specifically what I've been doing what my experience in documentaries have been very literal, and kind of based in this factual, how do I explain it? Kind of following, people's lives. But I think that I'm inspired by both documentary and narrative. And although my experience and my passion has always been to create narrative stories, but once I started doing documentaries and realizing just how really great the medium is, you really can make a difference. And that's the beauty of filmmaking and, being able to get a wide audience for a subject and actually making a difference. And so that's kind of my gears kind of changed a little bit when I realized that I do want to be able to do both. I want to be able to, throughout my career, bridge that gap, and I haven't had a problem doing it since. And really what happens too is that, you're working on a project, and by the end of it, you're so sick of it. And so when you get to be able to switch to another thing and you're like, okay, well now I get to do something completely different, it's like you're just using so much of your creative juices, you never get stale. Not to say you don't hit walls, of course, but yep. You get to be able to use as much of your creative juices as possible. And I think that's my goal as a filmmaker, is to be able to do that throughout my career. Hopefully, cross my fingers, if I'm lucky enough.
Well, so far what I've seen, from the trailers that you've let us see on both of those films, Feast the Foolish and The Guapa, you've done a great job with the creativity.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
How would you sell the sort of Guapa film to someone that really doesn't know anything about the subject matter? How would you sort of pitch it to them to spark their interest in it?
I guess the way that I've been trying to garnish interest, while one of our biggest concerns was about this project and making it into a feature, is the subject matter and the ability for some people to care about this when it's really hard to see kids and struggling and having deformities. But this story is a happy story. It's a true life fairy tale of a family who really has it hard, but is totally okay with that. They love their lives. They just want their kids to grow up healthy, and that's literally it. So it's a very, very simple story in that regard, and I think most people have been able to, most of our supporters have been able to connect on that level, and I don't think you have to have kids or be personally affected by cleft issues to, for you or your family or your loved ones. I think that it's a universal theme. It's just trying to have your kids have a better life than you. But on top of that, you have to deal with this severe deformity and, making sure that they have the best chances possible. And I think in a nutshell, that's what it is. Did that answer your question?
Certainly does. Yep. Because I would think you'd get a lot of people who read the synopsis of the film and think that's got to be depressing. That's got to be. Oh, I can't watch something like that. I'll feel like jumping out of a window or something after watching that one. Do you find you get people who will come across like that?
Yeah, one of my biggest concerns was exactly that, because when we started to discuss doing a much larger project for this and crowdfunding and sponsors and all of this, I started tweeting about it, and I started saying, well, would you, check out this trailer and my website, would you watch, an hour or feature length of this? And I got a handful of people coming back saying, absolutely not. I would watch 5 minutes, or I would watch 20 minutes or whatever, there's no way I could sit through that. And I got some negative feedback. But we've since we've been running this campaign, and like I said, the support that we've seen for it, those people just suck. Like, they just don't know what they're talking about, is what I've decided to believe, because it really is a happy story. And I can say that for a fact because I was there, and yes, these people are poor, but they are okay with that. And that's the beauty of this story, because the Filipino culture is unbelievable. They are so very, very poor and struggling there. But I did not see in all of 3 weeks a beggar. Not one person asked me for money. All I got was people trying to help me in some way. And that was what I found to be so incredible and moving about this. And that's what we're trying to show is that, they have these, that's not the only part of the story. They are just really awesome, very unique people. And that's why I want to go back to be able to spend more time with this family and really get into what makes them tick and why they are okay with this. They certainly don't have television or electricity or internet or anything like that. So it's a very, very different, very unique situation. And I guess when you kind of get those naysayers, you just have to push them out of your minds.
I think those naysayers, they've not even bothered to look into the subject matter that much. They just judge it on one or two lines of dialogue or 1 or 2 lines of text, presume they know everything, and judge it way too fast. So boo to them. Is what I say.
That's exactly.
But as for the happiness, you get a lot of people, certainly in this sort of, in the UK and America, who think if you don't have an Xbox or a high definition TV, life sucks. It's horrible. How can you not have those things? And I think you find in a lot of countries where they don't have those things, they're still happy, aren't they? They don't need an iPhone or a PlayStation or a Nintendo Wii, that type of thing, to be happy.
Yeah, and what was amazing was that, this family actually lives about an 8-hour trip away from Tagbilaran City, which is the capital of Bohol, and that is where the surgical mission took place. And they were so poor that they couldn't even get there. So we had to go with the Face of Tomorrow outreach unit that went out to go get them by, it was like a 4-hour van ride. And then we had to take about an hour and a half little boat ride on this little kind of like seaweed harvesting boat. And then we get to their little island, which is called Patogo. And then they live in a very tiny little, it's called a nipa hut, which is made out of bamboo. And so there's no running water, there's no electricity, and it's kind of up on stilts because it rains and floods there constantly. And so they live on a fish farm where there's just mosquitoes breeding everywhere. And clearly dengue fever is a very a prevalent issue there. So when we went to go get them, and we also brought them back. So after the mission, we spent a week with them in Tagbilaran City. So we went from a very nature outside, very, earthy kind of environment into this very sterile, low lit fluorescent light situation where these kids had never been before, had never seen anything like this. And when they were after the surgeries, even they were in a bunch of pain and they were on painkillers and, their mouths are all, puffy. And when they finally figured out that we were going home, they were so happy. It was unbelievable. They didn't want to be in the city anymore, even though we were feeding them chicken and rice and Burger King and all this. They didn't want that. They wanted their rice and their leaves and their tea leaves, and that was all they wanted. When they got home, it was like everything was better. You know, it really was. Even though they didn't have much to go home to, it was still, they're happy there. You know, and they don't want anything more. And they did stress that. The parents very much stressed that their goal is to just make enough money to make sure that their kids are healthy and that they have a better life than they did, have a better future. And I mean, that is very synonymous to the American dream, definitely.
Yeah. So, Harold?
I'm still here. I'm listening.
You're listening. You're engrossed. Harold's done so much research into the Guapa sort of project.
Really?
I mean, well, I was just like, I mean, you've answered almost all the questions I've had. Like, how did you get into it? Why did you get into it? You know, actually, I mean, because one of my questions basically was like, are you Filipino? Why did this matter to you so much?
I'm sorry, Harold. Can I stop you there? I lost you for a second.
No, I was saying that I mean, during my thought process and during my research, I was sitting there like, are you part Filipino? Why did this matter to you so much?
Yeah, like I said, I was lucky and I fell into it. But when I've always been fortunate. My family, my parents always believed that, traveling abroad is so incredibly important. And we started traveling at a very young age. And so I have had the fortune of going to many different third world countries and knowing very, very, how very fortunate I am. And so when you get the opportunity to use like your talent and your passion towards something that is giving back and could have the potential of actually changing people's minds and helping these people that are across the world that I would have never otherwise had the opportunity to meet, and I'm forever in their debt. Like it really was, like specifically the families in Guapa and Violetta and her kids. You can't honestly expect that to happen. You know, like when we had to leave this family, there were tears. Sabina, my best friend, and I went to college with her, and we've made films for a while. And like I look over and we're supposed to be, this is the end of the movie, you know, we're waving goodbye to them. Everybody's really happy. And I look over and Sabina's not filming. She's just like sobbing hysterically. And I can actually hear her crying in my video. And it was just like, that was indicative of the experience. You know, we printed out photos for them. We had hugs and kisses and we couldn't even communicate with this family, but there was, just some kind of mutual respect for each other. And we were holding her kids and we helped her. And we ate together, we sat together, we traveled together. Like it was really a wonderful week and a wonderful experience. And when we had to leave, Sabine and I were on this boat and we're like, oh my God, I can't believe we're never going to see these guys again. It's just crazy. And we're like, no, we'll get back. Eventually we'll get back, So when I finished the rough cut and everybody, I thought I was too close to the subject and I didn't think that we had, a longer piece in it. Right now it's at 21 minutes or 22 minutes. And I didn't think we had any more than that because I was like, nah, I'm too close to the subject. It's too emotional. It was my experience. And then I started showing it to people and they were like, oh my God, what is going to happen to these kids? Like, you have to go back. Like it needs to be longer. We need to know more, So it was a very organic experience in that regard. And, that's why I think that it all happened. So I guess, for lack of a better word, organically. And that's why we decided to go back and try to do this, try to raise this money and try to get back with Faces of Tomorrow in January, see the family again.
Now, see, that's, I think, where Stuart and I, we've discussed this a couple times, where people like Steven Spielberg and them, they've lost that touch that you just said you had, that personal touch, that love for what you just did.
I can definitely agree with that, and I think that's honestly because that you can't get that personal feeling without doing a documentary that's based on somebody else's life that's completely unlike your own, and I feel like I can say that now, at least being through the experience. And like I said, I've traveled to Africa and, all over South America, and I've seen some bad stuff, and thankfully, my mom and my dad are really great, and they give to lots of organizations, and so I mean that's definitely part of my background. But I think the importance of trying to do narratives and documentaries is so you can keep that that like hold on reality and like, you know, really, really what's going on out there, you know? So, so yeah, I can definitely agree with that point.
And I mean, when I go through your past projects, I mean, it's totally different than anything else you've done. I mean, like the 9 Ways to Treat a Man, that was funny. A couple of them I didn't agree with, but I knew it was just a joke.
But it's so funny that you brought that project up because honestly, that was like just for fun. Like one day, a couple girlfriends of mine had this idea because they loved this comedy sketch group called Brit and Nick. And they were like, hey, we want to do a reply video to this. Will you come over and shoot it? And I was like, sure, I got a camera, I'll go over do it. I mean, it was literally something we didn't even think about. And now, if you go on the YouTube page for that video, it's crazy. It has like 21,000 hits on it and like hundreds of just really nasty comments, people arguing. Like, it is crazy town. Like, and it's weird because it's like a social experiment. Like, people are nuts on YouTube is what I've decided, okay, from this. But it's certainly not indicative of like what Thirsty Girl Films is really about. We just did that for fun one day and didn't think anybody would ever see it. Just goes to show the power of social media. Yeah, it really does.
You put it on the internet and people are going to watch it.
Nuts. And then they're going to be nuts about it. So it was, pick anything controversial like that. If anything cats and dogs crap and people go nuts for it. Like, oh my God. So yeah, that's a little backstory on that. I mean, I have a little bit of a background in comedy and sketch writing. And so one of our hopes is to be able to do a web series, like a weekly web series. But we just haven't been able to find the time to do it.
And then both of your music videos, If This Bottle was a Bible, that country video, that was excellent. And
that's actually my little sister.
No way.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Meg and Morgan Pinsonneault. She changed her last name.
So then I could.
Or that's her stage name, rather. Yeah.
So I could hit you up for an autographed picture on her.
Is that?
I said I could hit you up and beg you for an autographed picture to put in the new Pimp Studios that I have.
Sure. Yeah, I can definitely make that happen.
Harold's quite envious because I have a lot of signed movie posters in my little sort of studio room here. So I think he's trying to emulate it. He's trying to fill his room up.
There you go. You got to start somewhere.
Well, my room has absolutely no signed posters. It only has one NCAA 12 football poster in my little studio so far.
Oh.
And I've been begging. I've been begging people for them.
I lost you guys again.
Oh, I said I've been begging people for them.
Okay.
I got a question though before Stuart goes. Dark Place video. That was totally different because that was all black and white, and that was really cool. And I mean, that song was excellent.
Oh, that's really great to hear. That's actually one of my best friends.
Okay. I mean, I never heard of her until I went on your website, and I'm like, that was really good.
Well, I missed that last part, but yeah, the cat is a good friend of mine from college, and she has since we actually met in an acting program in college, and then she came out here and got into music, and I'm going to tell her that too because she actually works at a recording studio right now, and I'm always pushing her to record more music, and I love that song. It's really great. She does like that really kind of grungy rock sound. So, but yeah, I mean, I think what happens is why my stuff's also different is because I just get inspired by something and then it snowballs, and then it turns into something I've never done before. I don't know. I've noticed that people comment on that before, and sometimes I'm worried. I'm like, well, am I supposed to have a style? And so I'm maybe I am, but I'm just kind of going with my gut at this point.
Well, keep doing that.
I think it's brilliant that you don't appear to have a style yet. You get a lot of filmmakers who will settle into one type and you know exactly what you're going to get. And I think it's brilliant that you're doing lots and lots of different things. You may end up finding a style further down the line, but just enjoy the fact that you're versatile. That's the word I was looking for.
Thank you. That's good to hear.
Yeah, keep doing what you're doing. I mean, it's wonderful. It's fresh. It's new. It's fresh. It's different.
I mean, we're recording this show on Wednesday, the 30th of November. What's the next few days for you? What's the journey that Guapa is going to do and that whole project?
Oh man, well, the project ends at midnight on Friday, and let's see, I believe we're just $50 shy of 6,000, and we're trying to raise 16,500. So we've got quite a ways to go in the next few hours. Luckily enough, it's on Indiegogo, so whatever money we do make, we will get. It'll just be a higher percentage. We're all trying to stay as positive as possible. And some things that are keeping us going, we've had so much awesome press and buzz about the project, and it's all happened in the last few days. One is a featured story on takepart.com, which is the social media branch of Participant Media. And that's really just kind of like, it was surreal to click on their homepage and to see my family as their thumbnail and as their main thumbnail too. So that was really fantastic and really exciting for me. And yesterday we were also featured on IndieWire as their campaign of the day. And we are featured on Indiegogo on their homepage. And we were also campaign of the day last week with them too. I've been featured on Film Courage. There's a really great article up there too. So thanks to them for doing that. We're really, really trying hard to get the word out there and raise the money to go back and finish this film and really make a big impact for this.
So people. Oh, sorry. Carry on.
Oh, so to answer your question, the next couple days is just this. It's 15 hours every day of talking to people, getting the word out there on Twitter, on Facebook, sending emails out. Friday's actually Sabina's birthday, Sabina Padilla. So happy early birthday to her. So she's going to come over here and we're going to hang out all day and have mimosas and make a day of it, I guess. So maybe she'll bring us good luck.
Okay. Now you forgot to mention one person.
Who?
Thirsty Carlos.
Oh, Carlos.
Man, I love reading his text. He's pretty cool.
I know. He's awesome. He's also one of my best friends, and he's the co-founder of Thirsty Girl Films. So basically I had this crazy idea and I was like, "Are you in?" And he's like, "Of course." And since we've had just a wonderful, the Thirsty Girl Films is only, I think, maybe like 15 months old. So we've had, it's not crazy mainstream stuff quite yet, and but it's been all very positive, and we definitely made the right choice. But Carlos has a really interesting story. He is from Mexicali, just over the border across from Yuma, and he came to the United States when he was 16 years old, and came out to LA with a dream and started working in the art department, and he came on a project as my art director back in, God, it must have been like 2006, 2007. And we just hit it off, and he's awesome. Like, he's just really, really, really great. And he's really an inspiration, just knowing where he's come from and how far he's come, pretty much from absolutely nothing. And the kid's got a good heart in him for sure. He's definitely loyal, and I can depend on him. So I'm glad to have him as part of my team. But yeah, everybody follow Thirsty at Thirsty Carlos, because he will be so excited. I've gotten him addicted to Clout, the Clout.com.
Okay. I don't know what that is.
You guys on there? No, you're not? Okay,
No.
It's crazy. Okay, it's absolutely nuts, right? But it's Clout.com, okay, and it measures your social networking influence. Okay. So, you sign up with your YouTube and your Facebook and your Twitter and whatever else, whatever other social network you work with. And it kind of tallies how effective you are in your communities. And so I showed my team this, when we started this campaign, everyone was kind of slow on the Twitter. I'm addicted to Twitter. I'm really like, I tweet, like, I'm definitely a tweeter. And, but they weren't, they're on Twitter and they kind of tweet, blah, blah. And I was like, no, guys, we have to really be on there. We've got to get on Facebook. We really got to be crazy social networkers. So I told them about Clout, and it's been a crazy competition ever since. It's a great tool. So everyone's really excited, because you get to be able to see like how effective you are compared to other people, and you give Clout points. And so it's just another social networking, I guess, application. But on top of that, everybody's measured against each other. So it's pretty funny.
Wow.
I think Harold and I know what we're signing up for this evening.
I check it out. It's pretty insane. I mean, it's just one more thing, but you know, you guys are pretty active in it too. So,
Wow. So now my next biggest question for you, when the documentary is ready, how are you going to spread? How are we going to get it out there? Is it going to the theaters? Is it going to go to Netflix? Are you going to do like Kevin Smith did and just sell the DVDs and put it on Netflix? How are we going to get to watch this?
well, you know, best case scenario is that you know, we've had a little bit of interest as far as sales agencies go, so that's really exciting. And you know, we're kind of working at getting all of our ducks in a row right now. But you know, best case scenario is to get a sales agent attached to the project. And you know, we're thinking that we might do a festival circuit, and out of that, hopefully get a distributor attached. But there's always the case that, you know, we keep getting a lot of really good press for this, and we can get our funding all worked out, and you know, hopefully make sure, the goal is to basically make sure that there is an outlet for this as early as possible. But I really feel I'm confident that there is. You know, like I said, we've seen so much support and so many people backing us for this project that I do know there's an audience there. There definitely is. You know, people are really excited about it, and I'm hoping that excitement translates into getting the word out. But definitely the festival circuit is where we're going to go.
And then
first.
Off this project, like, what have you learned that you're going to be ready to take into the next project?
Let's see. Documentary wise or just filmmaking wise?
Filmmaking wise, I mean, the fact that you've done the Twitter campaign, you've done this whole campaign, you know, all this work. What have you learned from all this work that you'll now know to bring in and that you're going to use for the next project?
Well, actually, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar because we weren't friends. We weren't following each other before this campaign. But this is actually my second campaign.
Okay.
And we ran an Indiegogo campaign back in April to fund Feast of the Foolish. So that was the learning experience, really. And when I was not on Twitter before that, I launched the campaign and I was just like, oh, it's just gonna be easy, right? Like, all I gotta do is just put this up here and people are gonna give me money, right? And like, clearly no, you know, I was so freaking wrong. So, you know, I immediately got on Twitter and found this like crazy indie, you know, community, indie filmmaking community online, and, you know, just jumped in, you know, head first. And what that taught me was the importance of using social networking, like the importance of keeping up to date, tweeting every day, you know, making sure that you're reaching out to people via Facebook or Twitter or Tumblr or whatever it is, and keeping those things up to date. And since I got on Twitter, I now blog for Movie Garage and Talk Nerdy to Me Lover. And I've written a couple blogs for Film Courage, which is really exciting. And they've asked me to be on their podcast in February, which is, you know, kind of a dream come true. So I love them to death. And all because of Twitter. All because I got on Twitter, and I did that because I used Indiegogo to fund my last project. And had I not done that, I can guarantee I wouldn't be where I am today.
I would agree with you that Twitter is one of the biggest tools that you can use, isn't it? I mean, that's how I met Harold. That's how I managed to join the podcasting network that Harold and I are a part of. For such a simple application, it has so much potential.
Yeah, I mean, Twitter's how I found Dexter and them too. Dexter God and
John, who watched your trailer and then emailed you for a request for it, didn't he? John, he was guest hosting on one of our shows, and Harold and I were reviewing Feast of the Foolish, and that's when John said, I want to watch this. I'm going to email Meg, and hopefully she'll let me watch it. So, you know.
It was really exciting. Like, you know, it's not every day that you get another filmmaker who's like, hey, can I watch your movie? You know what I mean? It's all you do as an indie filmmaker, especially one at this game of the, you know, stage of the game, is I'm begging people to look at my stuff. You know, please come and check this out, spread the word, you know? And so John was like, I'm really excited. Please let me watch it. And I was like, oh, of course. Like, you know, no, you can't. Sorry. Like, so it was, since then, you know, John and I have been in contact on Twitter and Facebook, and he's been helping promote the project. So thank you so much for hooking us up. He's a really great contact.
No problem. And I mean, you know what? That's what the podcast, and that's what we're all here for.
Well, thank you so much for doing what you guys do for indie filmmaking. It's really great. We definitely need people out there who care enough about this stuff and to help us spread the word.
I mean, this is Harold and I get together. We recorded a media show yesterday. We chat maybe 3 or 4 times a week, just talking about movies and stuff. It is nice to actually get on a show like this one, where it can actually make a difference to real people rather than just boost up somebody's box office figures.
Yeah, no, I can definitely.
So what would you say to somebody that somebody's sitting at home listening to this episode? Your Skype going a bit mad.
Yeah, I mean, it's cutting out a little bit. Start again.
What would you say to someone who's sitting at home listening to this episode who thinks, I would love to sort of donate some money towards this, but really I've only got like a couple of dollars. Because the economy's tough and Christmas is coming up, and a couple of dollars isn't going to make that much difference, is it?
Yeah, that's a really great question, because you see a lot of these campaigns where like $1 will make a difference, and it's like really in that regard, instead of donating $1, I would like to urge the importance of telling your friends, getting on Facebook, getting on Twitter, getting sending out an email to your friends and your loved ones or anyone that that would be impassioned about this project, and donate and tell their friends. The whole point of Indiegogo and social networking and all of this, basically trying to raise money, the fashion that we're doing, is it's all based on spreading the word and telling your friends through email, Twitter, Facebook, Google, plus all of that. It's literally based on that idea. So I think the thing that's hardest when you're running a campaign like this is stressing the fact that thank you so much. I understand that you can't give money, but please tell somebody who might be able to, because then they'll go and tell their friends and their friends and their friends and their friends. So it's exponential. And we've really seen, thankfully, a lot of that in this campaign. But like I said, we've still got upwards of $10,000 to go. So the more sharing and spreading and that we can get, the better it'll be.
And you need to hit this target by Saturday midnight.
Yeah, well, Friday midnight, yeah.
Friday midnight,
yes.
Yep. Saturday morning, yeah.
Saturday morning midnight, yeah.
And can people still donate after the fact? So imagine that someone's listening to the show in a week or so, and they think, I'd really like to have given some money to that.
Well, that we're going to set up a PayPal link on our website, so you can go there and donate through PayPal. And we're also going to provide an address if you just want to send in a check and give us a little bit of money to help us through this process. We're hoping that we make enough money before January, when the mission happens. I think it's January 14th. We need to make quite a bit of money to get a small crew of 4 people to the Philippines, which is very expensive. The plane tickets for one person is $1,500. It's nuts. So, I know it's really crazy. So it's quite a feat, and we're going to be there for a little over 2 weeks. And, we want to be able to have enough money to make sure that we eat and we have somewhere to stay and, transportation. And we have to do all of that in the next few weeks. So, but we're definitely planning on, that's what we're aiming for. We're all crossing our fingers and our toes, and that's what's going to happen. And then hopefully we'll make enough to get there, and then we'll come back and hopefully hold a fundraiser, and, people can donate on our website, and we'll just, keep spreading the word from there is what the plan is, more or less.
And when you go back there, will you show the family the film? How nervous will you be actually showing them the finished product?
Well, it won't be finished. It'll just be the first part. It'll just kind of be the first 20 minutes, or documenting rather the trip we had last year. So Once you put the entire thing together, it's going to be, hopefully twice as long. We're aiming for 60 to 70 minutes. So the other problem is finding a TV with a DVD player, or bringing. I think the plan might just to bring my computer. They can watch it on my computer, but they're definitely going to see it for sure. It brought tears to my eyes yesterday to see their picture on takepart.com. It really did. It was amazing. You know, and on IndieWire, it's just like they're all over the place and they have no idea. I'm not even entirely sure they would understand, but because I don't think they know what Facebook is or anything like that. But they'll definitely understand by our enthusiasm. I mean, that's how you communicate when you're like, it's a really big deal, you know, and they'll definitely understand. And they're so incredibly grateful and thankful for everything that we've done for them. And that's certainly one of the reasons why we're so impassioned to go back. It's like, they're just such wonderful people. You know, I want to see them again. I definitely do.
And I would expect tears from your eyes watching the film. I would expect.
Oh yeah, you know, Sabine and I have already talked about it. It's like, oh my God, we're gonna have to walk away, you know, when they're watching it. So we haven't quite figured out how we're gonna translate it, because most of it's in English, except for their parts. You know, they do speak Filipino or Visayan. So we're hoping to maybe just have a translator there to kind of explain to them what's going on. It's gonna be an interesting experience, but one that's definitely gonna happen. So we're planning on getting on Twitter and Facebook and documenting the whole trip while we're there. So, to you and to your listeners, come and check us out in January when we're there, and hopefully we'll get there and we'll be able to keep you guys all up to date.
Yeah, man, that was a wow from Harold. I could hear that in the background there.
I know. My brain is working like 1,000 miles per moment here, because I just had this really weird idea that if you had any kind of, like, you know how you do a fundraiser kind of thing, like if you had something in writing, I would be willing to take that to work and see how many people I could get to donate, you know, or like even donate to like for me to stay up and play games for like 24 hours. And then, you know, if I do that, then they'll donate like $1 for every hour. And then I can give you all the money that I raised for doing that little marathon.
Yeah, no, that we can definitely do something. I have a really great, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but as far as like a hard copy of the pitch or the proposal, if you go to our website, guapafilm.com, the proposal's on there and everything's laid out in writing. And that's been a place that I've sent a lot of people who just want to read about it, you know?
And I'm thinking.
That's kind of what you're thinking?
That's what I'm thinking. What do you think, Stuart?
I can hear your brain ticking all the way from Florida, Harold.
Well, I mean, if I go for like 2 weeks and try to get as many people to say, okay, I'll donate to you, you know, then all I got to do is get all that and, you know, have your PayPal and boom.
Yeah, and like I said, you know, we're really going to be stressing the importance of sending people to that exact link, and so that would be huge, you know. And contributions like that, it's something that if you were to go out of your way and do that, and it's so wonderful because we now get to promote you and the work that you're doing for us, and we have somebody to converse with and somebody who's excited about it. You know, that really means a lot to us in the campaign to get this out there. You know, get other people excited about it than just us. You know, the team.
Excellent. That's what we got to do, Stuart.
Yeah, I mean, this show is part of a slightly bigger podcasting network called the Open Forum Network, which has, I think it's some like 22 different podcasts on it. So I can't see any reason why we can't use them to publicize it even more. I mean, they have Facebook groups and their own little shows and stuff. So we could, I'm sure we could come up with something for them, couldn't we, Harold?
We have to, yeah.
Exactly.
Wow, that's really fantastic, guys. Seriously, that's really great. Thank you so much.
As I sort of said before, it's just nice to be able to talk about something that makes a difference to people rather than just entertainment. I'm all for talking about entertainment. I love story movies, but real life is a bit more effective, isn't it?
And that's like I said, that's the importance of it. Like people, like that's why I don't want to get trapped in genre. You know, is the ability to be able to be like, I love movies. I mean, this is why I do it. You know, I mean, I can't imagine doing anything else. And they're all narratives. You know, I've written 4 or 5 feature films, and I make narratives. And then I found documentary, and it was like, wow, you know, this is because I always liked documentary too. It wasn't that I didn't. It wasn't that I didn't like it. It just that I always found I'm obsessed with like Discovery Channel and just learning things in general. So clearly documentaries have always been a passion of mine. I just didn't realize it until I did one myself. And then I was like, oh, this is documentary filmmaking. Now I get it. And I know I will always do it. I know I will always be able to bridge that gap and go back and forth between documentary and narrative, because there's so many things out there that are interesting and that I find I'm impassioned about. I'm always learning something new, and I'm like, the internet is kind of bad for me. I just get lost constantly. So when you're making a documentary, it's really, the filmmaker is learning too. You're part of the process. Your learning experience is part of making that film, and so you become kind of a mini expert on the subject. And so that's exactly what happened with the surgical procedures and the cleft issue, and how terrible it is around the world. I have a very keen background and sense of this one very, very specific issue. I'm not a doctor. I have absolutely no medical background, but I can tell you, quite a bit about this subject. And it's because you make this film about it, and then you have this one very unique niche repertoire when you start doing that. And that doesn't necessarily happen with narratives unless you are researching something, unless it's like a period piece or it's a social action kind of type film or something like that. So I think that's really important. And I think it's important for people who are entertainment lovers is to go out there and support documentary. I mean, it is the form of media that is actually changing people's opinions on things and really getting the word out there. And that's why it's so important for us to do this particular project, because there's just not a lot out there about kids with cleft lips. So on that note, though, if you guys are interested in seeing a really amazing project, you should check out Smile Pinky. Have you ever heard of it?
Never heard of that.
It's a really fantastic movie by, I believe her name is, what is her name? Megan. Her name's Megan. Forgive me for forgetting, but it's called Smile Pinky, and it's about a young girl, Indian girl, who goes through the same type of procedure. She's has a cleft lip and ends up finding a smile train surgical mission and ends up getting the surgery. And they won an Oscar for that short documentary.
Wow.
So not to say that that's what we're going for, but cross your fingers. We really want to get it. We really, it's a really wonderful story. And, Smile Pinky had such a wonderful outreach, and people really seemed to respond to it. And it was one of the kind of motivations behind my doing this project in the first place. Was being able to see what they did with the subject and how the positive turn they had on it and how far they went with it. I mean, the little girl and her parents came to the United States for the Oscars. It was, imagine that.
That's awesome.
It really is. So I'm not saying that that's what, I'm also a realist. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen. But our goal is to just have a very solid piece that's out there that people can use to spread the word. So if you're impassioned by it, hey, check this out. This is really great. And hopefully this kind of social networking movement that we've become part of will also help us spread the word about this subject.
Well, on a little bit of, I guess, a lighter side, what kind of movies do you like? What are your favorite movies?
They're kind of movies like Feast the Foolish, I kind of like those dark, twisted, no closure type of movies. So Tim Burton and I love Michel Gondry's style. That's kind of where, I don't know if you guys had the opportunity to see my stop motion. It's called A Lost Love Story.
No, is that the one on the top?
Yeah, it's at the top of the page.
Yeah, that one I didn't get into yet.
Yeah, it's a short film too. It's starring Thirsty Carlos. But it's a stop motion film that we did where we did a live, with an actor, stop motion with an actor, where he was laying on the ground. We had a crane and we were shooting stills from above. And, that won us a bunch of awards, and is one of the reasons why we jumped right into Feast of the Foolish and this documentary and used, made Thirsty Girl what it was all based on the success of A Lost Love Story. So, and it's still, playing at Cinnabar our theaters around the country during their pre-show, and people are always constantly contacting me about it, saying this is a really great film. And so I love stop motion. So I'm hoping to be able to do something with that again in the future. But like I said, I kind of did that, and now I'm off onto, you know, another thing that I'm inspired by, another type of filmmaking I'm inspired about, I guess. But yeah, I mean, like Quentin Tarantino flicks. I love true romance.
How about Kevin Smith?
Oh, love Kevin Smith. I mean, I know it's like it's Rebel Without a Crew. Like everyone read that. I mean, you know, I love Darren Aronofsky. I like that he was pretty much the reason I went to film school. Those really awesome, like great dark pictures are the ones that are still to this day like inspiring me to make. Feast of the Foolish was kind of like my ode to pictures that are dark, you know, and also because I absolutely love the show Carnival. I'm obsessed. I've been obsessed for years. So that was also one of the reasons. And I love period pieces and kind of got to be able to mix all of that in there. But Guillermo del Toro, I love his work. I love Pan's Labyrinth, and The Orphanage was really great. I believe he produced that. It's always so hard. Oh my God, The Big Lebowski is like my favorite movie ever. So you gotta give props to the Coen brothers for like everything they've done, you know. And what I love about the Coen brothers too is proof that you can do whatever you want. Like they've done every, you know, comedies and dark, no closure pieces and dramas, and so they're definitely, those particular guys are definitely an inspiration for people like me who don't want to get trapped in genre work.
Yeah, like yourself, the Coens don't do the same thing twice in a row, do they? They're all over the place.
All over the place. But like brilliant. I said, specifically for me, I've always had a fear of getting trapped in genre, you know, like I have a script right now that I wrote that's a kid's movie. It's like Casper meets Now and Then, you know, and it's my ode to like the Goonies. You know, I love the Goonies, like my favorite movie growing up. So, I wrote that, and it's starting to get a little buzz about it, and people are reading it, and I'm worried. I'm like, oh no, what if I only write kids movies? And I love kids movies. Like, it would be a dream to write for Pixar one day or sell a script to them or whatever. But at least for me as an artist, I'm like, whoa, I don't want to get trapped. I don't want to get trapped in something because I want to be able to have the ability to try something new. And directors or filmmakers like the Coen brothers are absolute proof of that. So that's awesome. I'm not too scared about it.
Have you ever also thought about doing like an audio play?
And what do you mean?
Well, like, okay, with Dexter and them, they do also audio plays where it's actually like an audio book, but it's a big production kind of thing.
Yeah, and then they use the sales from the audio plays they use to fund their live action films.
Like if you ever want to check out this really great one, it's a podcast called We're Alive, a zombie podcast.
Okay.
That is a great example of a podcast kind of audio play.
Oh, interesting. I'll check that out.
You know, and it's also another way to put your media out there, I mean, and do something different.
Yeah, that's really cool. Oh, we just got another donation. So big shout out to Andrew Muniz, who actually supported Feast of the Foolish too.
Right.
Very cool. So exciting when you're running an Indiegogo campaign when you're getting the contribution emails. Got to tell everybody.
So is that where they would go to? So you got somebody sitting thinking, I want to donate some money. They go to that website?
For the time being, until Friday at midnight, and then after that, we'll set up a PayPal page on our website. But yeah, Indiegogo makes it incredibly easy, and clearly, you know, the reason why you use it. So it's definitely worth it. You know, they're 4% fee. If you make the goal, you pay 4% to Indiegogo, which is definitely worth it. If you don't, then you pay 9%, which can be quite a bit, depending on how much you've raised.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get this show uploaded literally within the next 2 hours. The way that we tend to do shows, the way I tend to do them, I record them at this end, is I get it edited very, very quickly and get it straight up on the internet. So this will hit iTunes in probably about 2.5 hours.
That's really fantastic. Thank you. And I'll do my, hit me up with the link and stuff, and I will promote the crap out of it.
Yep, as will we.
Well, the next time you come on, we would love to have Carlos come on too, because it would be great to talk to him also.
that's so great. Oh, he's gonna be. That's awesome. Yeah, he will. I'll make him come on. It'll be really awesome. You guys are gonna love him.
We just love to talk. I mean, we love to have people on, and we love to talk.
Well, he has quite a sense of humor. Like he's just a very unique individual. And since I've met Carlos, I've acquired a big group of very close Mexican friends. We make films together and stuff, and he's definitely the forefront of that. And, I'm an honorary, Mexican with them, even though I cannot speak a lick of English or Spanish, and they always make fun of me, But Carlos has a really fantastic sense of humor that's indicative of his culture, and I love that. It's great living in LA. It really is. We have just so many different people here, and that's been exciting to work with. Just so many different people, so many different backgrounds, so many different views, and then you end up making this like wonderful collaboration of something. And Carlos and I, he's my producing partner for sure. Like we do pretty much everything together. So I will be forcing him to come on the show. He'll love it.
And we will be waiting for that. That is
Awesome.
Definitely one thing we're waiting for. And you can also give a big shout out to Carlos when you talk to him next.
I will. That's really great, guys. Thanks.
So as a sort of final sort of end to this type of episode, do you want to just go over the web addresses where people can get in touch with you, in touch with Thirsty Girl Films, and more importantly, donate to the Guapa Project? That way it's at the end of the show so people can just end the podcast and then run off and donate some money.
Yeah, sure. Okay, there's quite a few websites because, if you're involved in social networking at all, it's everybody's got a million. So we'll start with Thirsty Girl Films. So www.thirstygirlfilms.com, which is our official website. A bunch of info there. We're on Facebook, which is facebook.com/thirstygirlfilms. You can find me on Twitter at @thirstygirlfilm, no S. You won't find me with the S. Let's see, what else? Oh, so the Guapa film is our campaign website is indiegogo.com/guapa-film. Our Facebook is facebook.com/guapafilm. And our official website is guapafilm.com. So it's pretty easy to find that one.
You have more web links than we do.
It's
well
so
you
many.
should.
And that's just some of them. I'm giving it easy to you guys here because it's a crazy list of things that, you have to keep up to date. So that's the short list.
How do you manage to keep up to date with all the social networking sites? Do you delegate some to your partner to check and some for you, or do you spend quite a chunk of time just making sure you're up to date with them all?
Quite a chunk of time is what ends up happening, and it's it depends on what project is at the forefront, what ends up getting the most attention. So before we started Guapa, I was solely focused on Feast and promoting the project and entering film festivals and getting reviews on it. Then we started this. I switched my gears completely, and now it's promoting this project. So these websites are a little bit more up to date than my last project. So it's it's very much a lot of lists. I have a million lists and a million sticky post notes and stuff, and it's hard to keep track at times. But like I said, it's what you get out of social networking and the connections you make, and the fact that people actually online care to see your work is worth keeping everything up to date. I think you hear a lot of filmmakers complaining about, social networking is too hard, I don't have time for it. Well, then you're really missing out on a very great opportunity to find an audience and people who actually care about what you're doing. So I think it's just part of the game now.
It is quite a big part of the game, isn't it? But a fun part. It must be nice to get the feedback from people who have watched your projects and like them. 10 years ago there was no sort of instant feedback like there is now.
Exactly, and that's what's really awesome, because you get to just meet so many different people and connect with so many different people that have your similar interests. That's why Twitter's so great, because it's not like Facebook, which is for your high school friends and, your family and people but Twitter's for people that actually share the same interests with you. And when it got really exciting is just meeting everybody that you are talking with on Twitter, and then you meet them in person, and it's strange because you've never met them, but you have, you know them really well. So it's just such a strange experience that after the first few times you get used to it. But, first time I got to meet Karen Warden and David Brandon from Film Courage, I was like just kind of like enamored with them because I had followed them so much on Twitter and all their podcasts and all the stuff they do. And I was like, hey guys, like a huge nerd, you know? So it's cool. Like I think it's a really exciting time to be a filmmaker, to be honest. And that's because of social networking.
And I have to correct you. Facebook was made for the Harvard list.
Oh, well, yes. Okay. To be
Yes,
correct.
I've seen the David Fincher film as well, Harold.
I know. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Correct me.
What you should do is correct Harold, saying actually it used to be called the Facebook. Actually, Harold, if you watch the first 5 minutes of that movie.
Well, you know what? I got one more thing for you before we go.
Okay.
We do this little thing. I got two things for you, actually. We do this little thing every week, and so far I've been right a lot more than my co-host here, or my partner in crime. I'm predicting that this week we're going to have... We predict what movies are going to be in the top this week. Now, I've predicted that we're going to have Twilight #1 with The Muppets #2, and the fact that we've got Sleeping Beauty coming out, and I said Sleeping Beauty should be #3. What was your predictions?
No way.
That's pretty. I think that's pretty accurate. I would say, which is unfortunate because I don't want to see any of those films.
I don't.
No, I think you're going to see Sleeping Beauty about #5. Nobody wants to watch one of those. Twilight 1, Muppets 2, and not Sleeping Beauty #3.
Well, can I just record you saying, Harold, you're right again?
No.
Oh, she ain't going to do it for me? Darn.
I think the thing is, Harold, you're always right on that, because I don't focus too much on who makes the most money on films. I think that's where I slip up. I enjoy looking at the box office, but I don't focus on it. I always look back to a film like The Shawshank Redemption, which was pretty much a flop upon its release. But yeah, everybody loves that film. So money don't mean much. It does in Guapa's case, because money can make a difference. But for the Hollywood studios, it generally doesn't.
I know. I definitely agree with that. I think that there's something to say about just the importance of the audience you're trying to reach, and it might not necessarily be your critics.
Yeah.
And then we got one more. We also do, and this would be for our next homework. We do a decade. Now we usually do, like this particular week here, we've got the 70s. And as our guest, I'm going to ask if you would pick our next decade for us.
Ooh. Okay, let's see. I mean, have you guys done the 80s in a while? I mean, that's got to be fun.
We did the 80s 2 weeks ago.
Yep,
you
I
did?
like
Okay.
the 80s. Yep.
Seriously, I mean, the Goonies was the 80s, and you can't, like I said, you can't beat that.
Well, the whole thing is that we've got to watch 2 movies we haven't seen. That's the key.
Right.
So I want to ask you to pick our next decade.
Next decade.
We've done the 30s. We've done
the 70s. 80s.
The 70s. We've done the 80s.
2000s.
Do the 90s. That should be fun.
Okay.
If you haven't done, have you done them? Have
Not
you done
yet.
that?
Not yet.
Yeah,
So,
I mean that's another super fun decade.
Excellent. So there we go. You got it on record, Stuart. We're going to be doing the 90s.
We have the 90s, yep. And we've both got to pick 2 films separately that we haven't seen and then just discuss them afterwards. Always fun.
Oh,
I think
cool.
it's just a way to...
Yeah.
I shall indeed. We usually Facebook them and then tweet them and see what people say. But it's just a way to push us to watch films that we might not run out and watch. So
That's true. That's really
homework.
great. Have you? One of my favorite from the 90s is Tommy Boy.
I've seen that. That was great.
Love it.
Okay. Yeah. I was gonna have to hang up on you guys if you haven't seen it.
No, I love it.
Okay, what's your ultimate all-time favorite movie?
Oh, dude, I hate that question. It's so hard. But I think I'd have to say The Big Lebowski.
Ooh.
It was Yeah, it came to me at such like a great part of my life. And like, I think Requiem for a Dream really had a big effect on my hopes and dreams of being a filmmaker. But the movie I've probably seen the most times, that I've just sat and watched the most times, is Big Lebowski, like over and over and over again, because it's great.
I think Requiem for a Dream is a brilliant film, but I don't know how many times you could watch that without wanting to jump out the nearest window. It's a grim film, but
Exactly.
it's one of the best films ever made. Anybody who wants to get into filmmaking should be made to watch that, and it shows the
Yes.
potential, doesn't it?
It really does. And, like Deer Hunter did the same thing to me. Like, I love that movie so much, but I can't, you have to take years off when you watch that.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have like Shawshank again. Like, you mentioned Shawshank, love that movie, but it's got a happy ending. These other stories like Apocalypse Now, fantastic film, but you want to like kill yourself at the end of it. So it's hard, but those are one of the inspirations I think people find most about wanting to make films, is because you're, those big kind of epic type films that might not be awesome at the box office, have a huge cult following, which then puts them in history books, puts them in film books. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I think, I don't know where I was going with that. What were we talking about?
Oh, we were saying your favorite movie of all time was Back to the Future.
No.
Back to the...
No. Get out of it. You're trying to load her with answers. But I sat my sort of partner down the other week, about 3 weeks ago, I think, and put Requiem for a Dream on. And within about 10 minutes, she thought, this is just horrendous. And by the end of it, she said, that's one of the best films I've seen this year. So she was hooked by the end of it. But it's very grim, isn't it?
It's very gruesome. It's very gritty. But like I've actually fell in love with Darren Aronofsky from Pi. And
Yes.
I'm not sure if you guys have seen that, but yeah, it's fantastic. And so walking into Requiem, you don't quite know what you're going to see, but you didn't expect that, And so I saw that actually when my first year at Emerson, and I was still an acting major. And it was, again, one of the major influences for me to really delve into writing and change my major to filmmaking. And I double majored in screenwriting and directing. Filmmaking. So it was that, Darren Aronofsky in that particular picture had a quite effect. But like I said, it's so hard to like choose what your favorite movie is, like it's so hard.
Well, if you ever write a part and you need a fat white dude, I'm not real fat, but I'm a fat white dude.
I will certainly keep you in mind, Harold. That'd be amazing, of course.
That's why you can understand why they call him Pimp, can't you?
Hey, no. I changed the name. It's now FP2S Harold.
From page to screen,
I saw
Harold.
that.
Yep.
Let me ask you, Harold, are you still getting the same messages? Like, is it still the same account?
Yeah, I'm still getting everything the same. All I did was just change the Twitter name.
Okay. Because your old Twitter name comes up still. It's weird.
It does?
Yeah, I don't know. So I'm wondering if you can see my tweets. I'm going to use your new name, but I can still actually see your old name too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, when I type in your @, so maybe they both
get rid of it yet or something. I just got rid of it because I think the front page to screen is a little bit more professional than the pimping.
Maybe just a little.
Yeah, it might help. It might help get a little bit more people to respond and not having to pimp.
Right.
Yep.
Or not having to explain it.
That's probably the worst thing, isn't it? Having to explain your Twitter name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like and again and again.
Number one questions.
Well, we shall
cool.
sort of end this episode, and then we will get that up straight away, within the next couple of hours. So, have you got any final sort of parting words for anyone out there, Meg?
Well, first off, thank you guys so much for having me on the show, and I look forward to coming on again with Carlos. It'll be really awesome, and just want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening, and all of our supporters for Guapa Films so far, and hopefully we'll get lots more people on the team, and we'll fund this picture. So big shout out to all of our all the Thirsty Girl friends and family and fans out there for, really helping us get the word out there and making this project as successful as it's been so far. So thank you guys so much for being a part of that.
Thank you for coming on the show and being part of the show, though.
Yep.
Oh, no problem. This is really great. I really thank you so much. It's been a great hour talking to you guys. So I look forward to it again.
And we look forward to, can people go to the website and see how much has been raised, or is this something that you see from your end?
Nope, everybody can see it. You can see all the donors who have requested that, they're not anonymous donors, which most of them have been. You can see their profiles and how many, I believe we're up to 75 donors now. So I think we had 102 for Feast of the Foolish. So we raised $7,600 for that, and we had about 100 donors. And then, so we're probably going to see a little, definitely over 100 people getting involved with this project. And that's one of the other really exciting things too. You get to see how many people truly, support this endeavor. But yes, if you go to our Indiegogo profile, you can see, how much money we've raised so far and how far we have to go. We're at 59.58 with 60 hours left.
And Friday at midnight, that is when that part closes, isn't it?
Yes, that's when at least this part of the campaign is done, and we're hoping to get as close to 16,500 as we can.
Wonderful.
So stay tuned, guys. Hold on tight.